Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. This will be a follow-up to my last program about that Miracle Whip commercial called Stacy's Deviled Eggs. And a lot of you found more interesting symbolism and prophecy in that video. So I thought I would go over some of your insights and add a few of my own because they are very important. This video is about the Antichrist and the false prophet and Satan entering into the church. However, not just any church. This is the Roman Catholic Church. And how did I determine that? By counting the number of attendees at this harvest time picnic. There are 16 women and 17 men, including the pastor. And that means that one of them must not be married. And of course, that would indicate that the pastor must be a celibate Roman Catholic priest. So now let's count the number of people at this picnic, and we will find that there are 33 in total. And of course, that is a very Masonic number. First of all, let's count the two women that Stacy is about to step in front of and block our view of. Stacy has now moved in front of those two women, so let's count the people to the right of this woman dressed in blue. We see a man at the back serving table, a man in the foreground, two women at the table, a man and another woman seated at this front table, a man, a woman, and a man back at the serving table, and another man sitting in the foreground. And to the right of Stacy, we see one couple here and another couple to the right. So let's count the table grouping up to the lady in blue. First there is a man, two women, a man at the table, two women in the background, a man in the foreground, a man on the left, a woman in the background, another man at the table, a man standing in the background, a woman, a man, two men at the table, and the lady in blue. And lastly, we count the woman at the far left wearing sunglasses. 17 men, 16 women, no children. That tells us that the attendees at this harvest picnic represent 16 couples and one man left over who is the pastor of the church, a Roman Catholic priest. And the number 33 is Masonic. The checkerboard tablecloths are Masonic. And just about everything in Stacy's kitchen, where she whips up her deviled eggs, is either Masonic or Satanic. For example, these pillars on either side represent Boaz and Jachin. And most of the interior accessories are either black like the lampshades or black like the curtains. And let's take a closer look at that goat skull. Now what could be more satanic than the skull of a goat? And she also has a little statue of Anubis, the Egyptian god, on her food counter. And now we really ought to take a look at Stacy's tattoo. And by the way, you'll only find this particular image in the longer version of the Miracle Whip commercial, and I will put the link below. And all tattoos, don't forget, are precursors of the mark of the beast. And here we see what looks like a key over an inverted number 3. And if we look at this form upside down, we see a more traditional shape of a key under a heart form. But if we look at it sideways, we see the number 13 with the key forming a 1. And of course, 13 is a number for a witch's coven. And now let's take a look at the license plate on the Buick LeSabre that Stacy drives off in. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that it reads 28R 4H7. And to me what's significant is that those three numbers are three of the four most important end times numbers in Bible prophecy. The only one missing is the number 12. But in my mind, what's really interesting about this scene is the huge cactus plant in front of Stacy's house. And notice that the leaves are on the trees. This is in big contrast to the scene at the church, which to me reminds me of New England. But it looks like Stacy comes from, well, maybe Arizona or Georgia, somewhere in the deep south. Does this indicate that Stacy drives a long way to seduce the Catholic Church? Or does it just mean that Satan comes from a much warmer climate? Now, there is one part of this commercial which I have not been able to decipher, and that is the meaning of the stones and their pattern on the ground. Now, some of you of my subscribers have suggested they represent words, but it's possible that their meaning was at one time obvious, but that section was edited out of the final commercial. And of course, we all know what the eggs mean, because I explained that before. The 16 deviled eggs are derived from 8 whole eggs, and 8 is 2/3 of a dozen. And of course, 2/3 symbolizes the Antichrist because it represents the decimal 0.666. And now I would like to play a clip for you, which is very interesting, because we hear the church bells toll for the Catholic Church. And the producers are very clever. They play a jazzy section, and then the music stops. And we hear 2 bells toll in the background, just as Stacy is about to give her deviled eggs to the man representing the Antichrist and the man representing the false prophet. And those 2 tolling bells signify the fall of the Catholic Church. So, in conclusion, this is more than an ordinary mayonnaise commercial. This is a message from the Illuminati. They know what they are doing. First of all, they want you to think of Satan as an imaginary character, as a cartoon figure, someone who is not really very believable. However, they believe in him. How else can you account for the 6 eggs that Stacy fills? How else can you account for the 16 married men and the 16 married women and no children and the 16 deviled eggs? That's an awful lot of 6s. And how can you account for the 33 total adults at the picnic? 33 is a well-known Masonic symbol, as is the checkerboard tablecloths. And please note, all 33 of these individuals are very easy to identify. None of them are hiding behind another person or behind a tree, for example. The Illuminati want you to count these people. And the men are very easy to distinguish from the women, unlike Stacy, for example. And at the very end, we see Stacy try to give the one-eyed Illuminati salute. This actress is not very good at winking. However, we do note that one eye is definitely darker than the other. And if any of you would like more information about these end times, especially the prophecies of Daniel, please visit my new ThirdEagleMedia.com website.